What else do you want me to do for you, Kofi? What else? Amina's voice shook the walls of their small house in Freetown. Tears poured down her face like rain. Her husband Kofi sat on their old couch, looking at his phone, not even raising his head to look at her. I cook your food every morning before you wake up. I wash your clothes by hand. I clean this house until my back hurts. I take care of our children. I respect you. I never talk back to you. So, tell me, Kofi, why are you cheating on me? Why? Kofi finally looked up, but instead of feeling sorry, he smiled, actually smiled. Because I can, he said coldly, and there's nothing you can do about it. Amina fell to her knees, sobbing. In her hand was Kofi's second phone, the one he thought she would never find. The one filled with messages to a woman named Fatima. Messages that made Amina's stomach turn. Pictures that broke her heart into a million pieces. But this wasn't even the worst part of the story. What happened 3 weeks later would change everything. What Kofi's pride would cost him that night. Well, let me tell you from the beginning. Before we continue, I want to thank each and every one of you watching this channel. I promise you, I will always bring you the most amazing stories you won't find anywhere else. Stories that will touch your heart, make you think, and keep you glued to your screen. So make sure you stick around, because this story is about to get wild. Now, let's go back to where it all started. Before that terrible argument, Amina and Kofi were a normal couple living in the east side of Freetown. They had been married for 6 years and had 2 beautiful children, a boy named Ibrahim, who was 5, and a girl named Zara, who was 3. Kofi worked as a driver for a rich Lebanese businessman. He made decent money, enough to feed his family and pay rent for their 2-bedroom house. Amina didn't work outside the home. She stayed home, raised the children, and made sure everything was perfect for her husband. Every morning, Amina woke up at 5 o'clock. While Kofi still slept, she would start cooking. She made cassava bread, fried plantains, or whatever Kofi liked that day. She prepared his bath water. She ironed his clothes until there wasn't a single wrinkle. She polished his shoes until they shined like mirrors. When Kofi woke up at 6:30, everything was ready. His breakfast was on the table, still hot. His clothes were laid out on the bed. His bath water was the perfect temperature. "Good morning, my husband," Amina would say with a smile, even when she was tired. Sometimes Kofi said good morning back. Most times, he just grunted and walked past her. After Kofi left for work, Amina would wash all the breakfast dishes, clean the entire house, wash clothes by hand in a bucket outside, then start preparing ingredients for dinner. Then she would bathe Ibrahim and Zara, feed them, play with them, teach them their ABCs and numbers. By the time Kofi came home at 7 in the evening, dinner was ready. The house was clean, the children were bathed and calm. Everything was peaceful. This was Amina's life. Every single day. She never complained. She believed this was what a good wife should do. But 3 months ago, things changed. Kofi started coming home late. Very late. Sometimes 9 o'clock. Sometimes 10. Once, he came home at midnight. "Sorry, my boss needed me to work extra hours," he would say. Amina believed him. Why wouldn't she? Kofi was her husband. She trusted him completely. Then Kofi started spending money differently. Before, he would give Amina money every week for food and household things. But now, he started giving her less and less. "Business is slow," he told her. "My boss cut my salary." Amina tightened their budget. She bought cheaper food. She stopped buying new clothes for herself. She made sure the children had what they needed, even if it meant she went without. But Amina noticed something strange. Even though Kofi said he had less money, he kept buying new things for himself. New shoes, new shirts, expensive perfume that smelled different from what he usually wore. Where did you get the money for these? Amina asked one day, pointing at his shiny new shoes. My boss gave me a bonus, Kofi said quickly. Stop questioning me, woman. It's not your business. Amina felt a cold feeling in her chest, but she pushed it away. She didn't want to think bad thoughts about her husband. Then one Saturday, everything started to unravel. Kofi's phone rang while he was in the shower. It was on the kitchen table, buzzing loudly. Amina wasn't the type to check her husband's phone, but the name on the screen caught her attention. My sugar, with a heart emoji. Amina's hand shook as she picked up the phone. She didn't answer the call. She just stared at those words. My sugar. Who was my sugar? The shower turned off. Amina quickly put the phone down and walked away, her heart beating like a drum in her chest. That night, she couldn't sleep. She lay next to Kofi, staring at the ceiling, thinking about that name on his phone. My sugar. The next morning, while Kofi was still sleeping, Amina did something she had never done before. She went through his pockets. In his trouser pocket, she found a receipt. It was from a restaurant called Paradise Gardens, one of the fanciest restaurants in Freetown. The receipt was for 2 meals and 2 drinks. The total was 450,000 leones. Amina felt like someone had poured cold water on her head. 450,000 leones. That was more than what Kofi gave her for groceries for an entire month. And this was for 1 meal? For 2 people? Amina had never been to Paradise Gardens. In their 6 years of marriage, Kofi had never taken her to any fancy restaurant. When they went out, it was to small local spots where they ate rice and stew for cheap. But he took someone else to Paradise Gardens? Amina's hands trembled as she put the receipt back. She felt sick to her stomach. For the next 2 weeks, Amina watched Kofi carefully. She noticed more things. He was always on his phone, smiling and typing. When she came near, he would quickly close whatever he was looking at. He started taking showers as soon as he came home, scrubbing himself hard, washing away any trace of perfume that wasn't his. He stopped touching Amina. When she tried to be close to him at night, he would turn away. I'm tired, he would say. Let me sleep. But Amina could tell he wasn't tired. He was pulling away from her. His heart was somewhere else, with someone else. Then came the day Amina found the second phone. It was hidden inside Kofi's work bag, tucked in a small pocket. Amina had been looking for money to buy food for the children when she found it. A cheap Nokia phone, not locked, not password protected. With shaking fingers, Amina opened the messages. What she saw destroyed her. Hundreds of messages, all to one person. Fatima. I miss you, baby. Can't wait to see you tonight. You're so beautiful, not like that woman at home. I wish I could leave her and be with you forever. Amina read message after message, each one like a knife in her heart. There were pictures too. Pictures of Kofi and another woman, young, pretty, wearing tight clothes and heavy makeup, kissing, hugging, lying together in bed. Amina felt like she couldn't breathe. The room started spinning. She sat down on the floor, still holding the phone, tears streaming down her face. How long had this been going on? How could he do this to her, after everything she did for him? When Kofi came home that evening, Amina was waiting. The second phone was on the table between them. The children were at her mother's house. What is this? Amina asked, her voice barely a whisper. Kofi looked at the phone. For a second, his face showed panic. But then, something changed. His face became hard, cold. It's my phone, he said simply. I read everything, Kofi. Everything. How could you? Kofi shrugged. Actually shrugged, like it was nothing. So what? You read it, now you know. That's when Amina stood up and screamed the words from the beginning of this story. What else do you want me to do for you, Kofi? What else? I cook your food every morning before you wake up. I wash your clothes by hand. I clean this house until my back hurts. I take care of our children. I respect you. I never talk back to you. So tell me, Kofi, why are you cheating on me? Why? Kofi stood up too, towering over her. You want to know why? Because you're boring, Amina. You're just a housewife. You don't know how to dress nice. You don't know how to make a man excited. You're just there, like furniture. Fatima makes me feel alive. She knows how to treat a real man. Each word hit Amina like a punch. But I do everything for you. I don't care, Kofi shouted. You think cooking and cleaning makes you special? Any woman can do that. Fatima does that and she's beautiful and she's fun. You? You're nothing special, Amina. Nothing. Amina collapsed to the floor, sobbing. But Kofi wasn't done. And you know what? I'm not going to stop seeing her. I don't care if you know. What are you going to do? Leave? Where will you go? You have no job, no money. Your family is poor. You need me, Amina, but I don't need you. He grabbed his jacket and headed for the door. I'm going to see Fatima now. Make sure my dinner is ready when I come back. The door slammed shut. Amina lay on the floor, crying so hard she couldn't breathe. She felt worthless, useless, like trash. But somewhere deep inside, something else started growing. Not sadness, something hotter, darker. Anger. Because what Kofi didn't know was that Amina had 3 older brothers. Brothers who loved her more than anything in the world. Brothers who had warned Kofi before the wedding, take care of our sister or you'll answer to us. And what Kofi really didn't know was that Amina's eldest brother, Sori, had just been released from prison 2 days ago. He had served 5 years for beating a man who had insulted their mother. Everyone in their neighborhood knew you don't mess with Sori and his brothers. Amina picked up her phone with shaking hands. She called Sori. Brother, she said through tears. I need you. On the other end, Sori's voice became deadly calm. What happened? And Amina told him everything. The next morning, Kofi woke up feeling good. No, better than good, he felt like a king. He had spent the night at Fatima's apartment. She had cooked for him, massaged his shoulders, and told him how handsome and strong he was. Everything Amina used to do, but better. Or at least, that's what Kofi told himself. When he finally came home at 10 in the morning, he expected Amina to be crying or begging him to stay. He expected drama, but what he found surprised him. Amina was in the kitchen, cooking quietly. The house was clean, the children were playing outside. She didn't look at him when he walked in, didn't say a word. Where's my breakfast? Kofi asked. On the table, Amina replied, her voice flat. Empty. Kofi sat down and ate. The food was good, as always. When he finished, Amina came and collected his plate without a word. Kofi smiled to himself. She's learning, he thought. She knows her place now. For the next 3 weeks, this became the routine. Kofi came and went as he pleased. Sometimes he stayed home. Sometimes he stayed with Fatima. Amina never complained, never argued, never cried in front of him anymore. Kofi thought he had broken her spirit completely. He bragged to his friends about it. My wife knows now that I'm the boss, he told them at a bar one night. She doesn't question me anymore, she just obeys. That's how a woman should be. His friends laughed and clapped him on the back. They called him Big Man Kofi. But Kofi didn't notice the small changes happening around him. He didn't notice that Amina's brothers had been visiting the house every day while he was at work, not to comfort her, but to plan. He didn't notice that Sori, the eldest brother who had just gotten out of prison, sat in Amina's kitchen every afternoon, asking questions. What time does he usually come home? Does he carry anything for protection? What day does he normally go to see that woman? Amina answered every question calmly, The tears had stopped. Now there was something else in her eyes. Something cold and determined. "I don't want you to kill him," Amina told her brothers. "But I want him to learn. I want him to understand that he can't treat people like trash and get away with it." Sorry cracked his knuckles. "Don't worry, little sister. We won't kill him. But when we're done with him, he'll wish we had." The other two brothers, Momo and Alimami, nodded. They had been waiting for this. They had never liked Kofi much anyway. He was too proud, too disrespectful, and now he had hurt their baby sister. That was unforgivable. They chose a Friday night. Amina had told them that Kofi always went to Fatima's apartment on Friday nights. He would leave around 8 and come back around midnight or later. The brothers decided to wait for him on his way home. That Friday, everything went according to plan. Kofi spent the evening with Fatima. They ate expensive food that he bought with money he should have given to his children. They watched movies. They laughed. Fatima told him again how much better he was than all other men. Kofi felt like a king. Around 11:30, he got ready to leave. Fatima pouted. "Why don't you stay the whole night?" she asked, running her fingers down his chest. "I have to go home," Kofi said, but he was smiling. He liked that she wanted him to stay. "But I'll come back tomorrow, I promise." He kissed her goodbye and walked out into the dark Freetown night. Fatima's apartment was in a quiet neighborhood. The streets had few lights. Kofi had parked his boss's car 3 streets away, where Fatima's neighbors wouldn't see it and start gossiping. As he walked toward the car, whistling happily, he didn't notice the 3 figures standing in the shadows. Kofi was halfway down the dark street when he heard footsteps behind him. Fast footsteps. He turned around. 3 men were walking toward him. Big men. Their faces were covered with cloth, but their eyes were visible, and those eyes were angry. Kofi's heart jumped. "Who are you? What do you want?" The men didn't answer. They just kept walking toward him, faster now. Kofi started backing away. "Look, I don't have much money, but I can give you what I have. Just don't hurt me." That's when the biggest one spoke. His voice was deep and cold. "We don't want your money, Kofi." Kofi froze. They knew his name. "We want you to understand something," the man continued. "When you hurt a good woman, when you treat her like trash, when you break her heart and laugh about it, there are consequences." Kofi's eyes went wide. "Who sent you? Was it Amina?" "That witch!" Wrong thing to say. The first punch came so fast Kofi didn't see it. It caught him right in the stomach, knocking all the air out of his lungs. He doubled over, gasping. "Don't you ever call our sister a witch." Sorry, Rod. "Our sister." Kofi realized with horror exactly who these men were. Amina's brothers. He tried to run, but Momo grabbed him by his shirt and threw him against a wall. Kofi's back hit the concrete hard. "Please," Kofi begged, tears starting to run down his face. "Please, I'm sorry. I'll change. I promise I'll change." "Oh, you'll change," Alimami said coldly. "But first, you're going to learn." What happened next, Kofi would remember for the rest of his life. The brothers didn't just beat him. They made him understand pain. Real pain. Every punch, every kick, they told him why. That's for making her cry every night. Crack! That's for spending her children's food money on another woman. Thud! That's for calling her boring and ugly. Smash! That's for making her feel worthless. They ripped his expensive shirt, the one he had bought with money, meant for his children's school fees. They broke his fancy phone, the one he used to call Fatima. They took his wallet and threw his money in the gutter. "That's what you did to your family," Sorry said. "You threw them away like garbage." Kofi was on the ground now, bleeding from his nose and mouth. His ribs hurt. His face was swelling. He could barely see through his puffy eyes. But the brothers weren't done. Sori bent down and grabbed Kofi's face, forcing him to look up. Listen to me very carefully, Sori said, his voice quiet but deadly. You're going to go home. You're going to beg Amina for forgiveness. You're going to break up with that Fatima girl. You're going to give your family every single leone you earn. You're going to treat Amina like the queen she is. You're going to be the husband and father you should have been all along. He squeezed Kofi's face harder. And if we hear that you cheated again, if we hear that you raised your voice to her, if we hear that you even looked at her the wrong way, we'll come back, and next time we won't be this nice. Do you understand? Kofi nodded frantically, blood dripping from his mouth. I asked you a question, Sori shouted. Yes, I understand. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. You're not sorry yet, Momo said, but you will be. They left him there in the street, bleeding and broken. Kofi lay there for almost an hour before he could move. Every part of his body hurt. When he finally managed to stand up, he could barely walk. He looked at himself in a car window. His face was a mess. His fancy clothes were torn and dirty. He looked like a beggar. Slowly, painfully, he limped home. It was almost 2 in the morning when he reached his house. He expected the door to be locked. He expected Amina to be asleep. But when he pushed the door, it opened, and there was Amina, sitting in the living room, waiting for him. She looked at his beaten face, his torn clothes, his limping walk, and she didn't say a word. Kofi fell to his knees in front of her. Amina, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, please forgive me, please. Amina looked down at him. Her face showed no emotion. Do you know what hurts the most, Kofi? She said quietly. It's not that you cheated, it's that you were proud of it. You looked me in the eye and told me I was nothing. You made me feel like I wasn't worth anything. I know, I was wrong. I was so wrong. Please, Amina, give me another chance. My brothers wanted to do worse to you, she said. Sori wanted to break your legs. Momo wanted to cut up your face so Fatima wouldn't want you anymore. But I stopped them. Do you know why? Kofi shook his head, still on his knees. Because, despite everything, you're still the father of my children. And they need a father, not a proud cheating dog, but a real father, a real man. She turned to face him. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to call Fatima right now, in front of me, and tell her it's over. You're going to give me every single phone you have. I want passwords. I want codes. Everything. You're going to give me all your money every week. And I'll give you an allowance like a child until you learn how to be responsible. Kofi nodded frantically. Yes, anything. I'm not finished, Amina said, her voice getting stronger. You're going to apologize to me every single day for the next year. You're going to do half the housework. You're going to bathe the children and help them with homework. You're going to show me that you know how hard I work. I will, I promise. And if you ever cheat on me again, I won't stop my brothers next time. Do you understand? Kofi looked into his wife's eyes and saw something he had never seen before. Strength. Power. This wasn't the same broken woman he had left 3 weeks ago. This was someone new. Someone who knew her worth. I understand, Kofi whispered. Good. Now call Fatima. With shaking hands, Kofi pulled out his broken phone. Somehow, it still worked. He dialed Fatima's number. She answered on the second ring. Baby, I was just thinking about you. When are you coming back? Kofi looked at Amina. She nodded. Fatima, we're done. Don't call me again. What? Baby, what are you talking about? Is this a joke? It's not a joke. I'm sorry. Goodbye. He hung up before she could say anything else. Amina took the phone from him. Now, the other one. Kofi reached into his pocket and handed her the secret Nokia phone. Amina threw both phones on the floor and stepped on them, crushing them completely. From now on, you get one phone, a basic one, and I'll have all the passwords. The next few months were hard for Kofi. His face took weeks to heal. People at work asked what happened. He told them he was mugged. He was too ashamed to tell the truth. But slowly, Kofi started to change. Real change. He woke up early and helped Amina cook breakfast. He washed dishes. He played with Ibrahim and Zara. He gave Amina all his money and never complained. Every day, he apologized. I'm sorry for hurting you. I'm sorry for making you feel worthless. I'm sorry for being a terrible husband. At first, Amina barely acknowledged his apologies. But gradually, she started to soften. Not because she was weak, but because she saw that he was truly trying. One evening, 6 months after that night, Kofi came home with something in his hands. It was a small box. What's this? Amina asked. Open it, Kofi said nervously. Inside was a simple gold necklace. Not expensive, not fancy, but honest. I've been saving from the small allowance you give me, Kofi explained. I know it's not much, but I wanted to give you something. To show you that I see you now. I see how hard you work. I see how beautiful you are. I see how much you've done for our family. Tears filled Amina's eyes. But this time, they weren't tears of pain. They were tears of something else. Maybe not love yet, but something close, hope. Thank you, she whispered. That night, for the first time in months, Amina let Kofi hold her hand. The change in Kofi didn't go unnoticed. His friends from the bar saw him one day walking with Amina and the children in the market. Kofi was carrying Zara on his shoulders and holding Ibrahim's hand. He was smiling, but not his old proud smile. This was different. Gentler, humbler. Aye, big man Kofi, one of his friends called out. Where have you been? We haven't seen you at the bar in months. Kofi looked at the friend, then at Amina. I'm not big man anymore, Kofi said simply. I'm just a husband, trying to be better. His friend laughed awkwardly and walked away. Amina squeezed Kofi's hand. 2 years later, Kofi and Amina were still together. They had their struggles. Some days were hard. Trust doesn't come back overnight. But they were building something new, something stronger than before. Kofi never forgot that night. He still had small scars on his face from the beating. Every time he looked in the mirror, he remembered. But more importantly, he remembered the look in Amina's eyes. The strength he had almost destroyed. The woman he had almost lost. One evening, as they sat together watching Ibrahim and Zara play, Kofi turned to Amina. Do you think you'll ever fully forgive me? He asked quietly. Amina thought for a long moment. I don't know, she said honestly. But I know that you're not the same man who hurt me. And that's what matters. Kofi nodded. He knew he would spend the rest of his life proving he had changed, and he was okay with that. Because he had learned the hardest way possible that pride comes before a fall. That you can't treat people like trash and expect no consequences. That real strength isn't in how many women you can get or how much you can hurt someone. Real strength is in being humble, in admitting when you're wrong, in fighting every day to be better than you were yesterday. As for Fatima, she moved on quickly. She found another big man to take care of her, someone else's husband, someone else who would learn the same lesson Kofi did. And Sori, Momo, and Alimami, they visited often. Kofi was always respectful to them. He thanked them, even though that seemed crazy. Why are you thanking us? Sori asked one day. We beat you half to death. I know, Kofi said. And I deserved it. You taught me something that night. You showed me that actions have consequences, that I can't just do whatever I want and hurt people. So, thank you. Sori studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Just don't make us come back. "I won't," Kofi promised. "I won't." And he never did. You can feel proud about doing wrong things. You can laugh and brag about hurting people. But one day, that pride will come back to haunt you. One night, life will teach you a lesson you'll never forget. Treat people well. Respect your wife. Value your family. Because once you lose them, you might never get them back. And if you do get a second chance, you'll spend the rest of your life earning it. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing stories. What do you think? Did Kofi deserve what he got? Did Amina do the right thing? Leave your thoughts in the comments below.